Item 1, receive members' apologies for absence.
I have no apologies for absence. I will just make it aware that, for those that don't know, Councillor Anne Marseille has resigned from the council, so we are currently advertising a vacancy. Borough Councillor Don Tyler has given his apologies, but you obviously don't need to accept that.
Good. Move on to item 2, members' declarations of interest.
Turn your phone off.
Councillor Jordan. Can you switch the mics on?
I'd like to declare an interest in item number 10 and item number 15, please.
Lovely. Councillor Buxton.
I think I might need to on 11.3, if, yeah,
Okay.
I'm getting a nod.
Mention it.
And 11.3 tonight.
Anyone else? I'll move on then to item 3, Town Clerk's report and Mayor's announcements.
Quick one for me. We've had a drain failure up at the JCC due to members of the public parking next to the Jubilee Sports Centre, also known as the Boxing Hut. I've had to do emergency expenditure on that, and a fence is now going up to prevent that going on. Yeah, everything else you're aware of.
Good. This past month I've been various functions, and we've got a quiz night coming up on the 4th of November, so I hope you'll all be there. I'll move on to item 4, receive presentation from Sue Andrews. Sue?
Am I on?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't know.
I think you speak quite
No,
close
you're
to
all right.
it.
Okay. Can I just say hello? And I did have a presentation, but unfortunately I can't display it to you because we don't have the equipment. But I'm going to do this ad hoc. And I'm hoping, it's the first time I've done it without the presentation, but I'm hoping that because it's so dear to me, you will understand it anyway. I'm here as a family carer. I care for my 92-year-old mum. She's a very, very loved lady. She has over 30 children, great-grandchildren and grandchildren. But she has every long-term illness that you can think of. Diabetes, heart failure, kidney disease, you name it, mum's got it, dementia, etc. Because she's got that, she's prone to falls. She falls quite regularly. I am her only carer. I live with her 24/7. And like most, people with their mum, I want her on this earth for as long as I can have her. So when she has a fall, I do what I can, the best way to pick mum up. I'm sure you're all aware that in West Norfolk, we have what's called the SWIFT team. And the SWIFT team is the County Council's emergency care team. And they come out, if an elderly person has a fall, they come out, they pick them up, they settle them, etc., etc. However, the SWIFT team cannot come out if there is an injury to that elderly person or if they are going to come out later than 2 hours. The reason they can't come out later than 2 hours is there is a thing that in the health profession is known as deconditioning with elderly people. And this basically means that if they have a long-term health difficulty, health problem, if they are laying on the floor, that problem will get worse. Now, to give you an example of this, Mum had a fall on the 23rd of February. And I called the SWIFT team, they couldn't come out. I was told by the SWIFT team to call 999. I called 999, I was told 5 hours wait. That is not the ambulance service's fault. It is not the NHS's fault. That is the system, unfortunately. And the reason there was a 5-hour wait is because the ambulance service have what's known as a stacking system. And elderly people that fall go into tier 2. The first, quite rightly, are people who have strokes, road traffic accidents, things like that. So when an elderly person falls, they go into tier 2 and they have to wait until all the other tier 1s are dealt with and maybe some of the tier 2s. And that leaves them lying on the floor until the ambulance service gets there. And that can be as much as, in Mum's case, they said 5 hours. Fortunately, when I mentioned that she had stage 3 kidney disease, they got there in an hour. What happens when they get there? They get there, they will do a full examination. And if anything is not seen to be right, they will send the elder person to hospital. And that's the right thing to do as a paramedic. When you're trained to do that, that's the right thing to do. As a family carer, I know my mum better than anyone else in the world. I know every single thing that's wrong with her. And I know 4 years ago, I took her out on her scooter and she pulled her shoulder. And I know 4 years ago, right up until today, me and her GP have been trying so hard to get her to do exercises. We can't get her to do them because it hurts, so her GP and I manage it with medication. When the ambulance service came out, they said she has an injury to her shoulder. Where does it hurt, Pat? My shoulder hurts. I said, that's an old injury. They said, it doesn't matter. She is in pain. We have to take her to hospital. Quite rightly, they're going to do that. I understand that. That's their job. Mum sat on that forecourt for 5 hours. We got to the QEH at 8:30. We sat there till 5:30. That ambulance was tied up all that time, when it could have been out doing a stroke, it could have been out doing a road traffic accident, heart attack, whatever. And Mum was tied up, getting more and more stressed. I got more and more stressed. I work in the health and social care profession. I advocate for family carers. I know the health and social care profession inside out, back to front, but there was absolutely nothing I could do. And all I done is I sat on that forecourt and I cried. I cried because my mum was in that ambulance and there was nothing I could do to help her. There was nothing I could do to allow that ambulance to be free with its 3 crew to go off and see a real emergency. As I sat there, I thought, this can't go on. There'd been other times, of course, because Mum's a faller, that Mum had fallen and we'd ended up in this situation, and I decided to do something. And on the 17th of March, I called together all of the people that I thought could help. And I didn't do it because I know them. I did it through their infos, through their, you know, if you want to contact the county council, go through it, it's open door. If you want to contact the QEH, you know, do it this way. And I contacted them not as a professional, but as a family carer. And I said, look, let's get round the table. How can we stop this happening? How can we stop our elderly people being left on the floor for 5 hours? How can we stop our ambulance service being tied up? How can we stop having avoidable admissions when our NHS service is so under such stress, when we need those beds and we don't need people who have had injuries for the last 4 years going there because they have to be checked over. And when I did this, I was put in touch with by the ambulance service by a company named Felgans. Felgans are the people who sell razor chairs. And if I had my demonstration, I'd show you. But basically, they are chairs that go under the elderly person and pick them up. The ambulance service said to me, Sue, if you really want to help with this, you get out there and you start a project with volunteers. And you get those volunteers to be trained, just like we would have volunteers, or we do have volunteers trained with the defibrillators, and you get them to work with us to get these people picked up. So I've been talking to all the parish councils across West Norfolk. I was going to do it across the whole of Norfolk, and the ambulance service said, no, Sue, you do it in West Norfolk, and if it works, we roll it out. As I've spoken to people, as I've been working since last March, I have learnt from NHS England that this is a national problem, and that NHS England want to be able to pick elder people up without calling 999. And that the St John's Ambulance and a load of other big organisations are actually looking at this problem. One of the things that we have in West Norfolk that those people don't have is all our parish councils being able to be contacted, a district-wide charity known as West Norfolk Carers, whose sole interest is looking after people, family carers, and a determination by a family carer to make sure that I see this service set up in my mother's lifetime. And my mother is 92, 93 in April, and as I've told you, she's got lots of illnesses. And so what I've done is I've got hold of NHS England, and I've said to NHS England, look, what we can do is we can get the parish councils to work with us, with me, with the ambulance service, to get these chairs put into areas of West Norfolk, so that these chairs can be used like the defibrillators and they can pick our elder people up. When I've actually spoken about it, Felgans, who deliver the chairs, who make the chairs, who sell the chairs, have told me, look, Sue, if you can get the parish councils interested, we will give you 11 chairs for 6 months to show NHS England that it works. You won't have to pay for them for 6 months. I have now spoken to a parish council in the north of West Norfolk. I have spoken to a parish council in the west. I am working very closely with them, and they're kind of a little bit, and I'll explain that in a minute. I am working with a parish council in the east and the south. What I need, and I'm working with Hunstanton, a community group in Hunstanton, what I need and what I haven't yet got, and I'm hoping I get it tonight, so I haven't got Downham Market as a town in West Norfolk on board, and I haven't got the Borough Council on board. I'm hoping that tonight I will get Downham Market. What I need to do is I need to work with the parish councils and the community of Downham Market to get the project going in Downham Market, to enable a chair or a couple of chairs to be put in the town, to be looked after by the providers of the chairs. They are looking to make boxes so they can be put outside, so they don't have to be inside. I'm looking to work with people in Downham Market so that I can help get the volunteers together. If I just, part of my previous life, I was a volunteer development manager, so I have lots of experience of encouraging people to volunteer. And if I can say to NHS England, I now have these councils on board, they're going to work with us. I now have West Norfolk Carers who are going to give us all the governance, because one of the things people are scared of is one, litigation. And I've shown how we can get over litigation, and that will be through having public liability insurance, but also making sure the ambulance service is doing part of the training. I say part because the providers of the chairs have a tool which is called Helpful, and it's a bit like the 111 service. The volunteer will ask a question of the patient or the family carer that's there, and if they give a green light answer, then they will ask another question. If they give a red light answer, they won't pick the person up, they will just call the ambulance service. So they will not pick a person up until they know that they are safe to pick that person up. We are getting the ambulance service have said that they will help us with the training. With the tool Helpful, we will have 2 good sets of training. And in addition to that, I am talking to all the the PCNs, the primary care networks, because Helpful produces a report. As the volunteer is using it, Helpful produces a report. And I'm saying to the primary care networks, we need those reports to go to the GP of the older person, because it might be like my mum, they have fallen because they have an underlying illness, and we have to check that they're checked out by a clinician. And before we actually close that case, we don't just pick them up and leave it. We will phone back and say to the GP, have you checked out X, Y, and Z, this person, to make sure that there has been clinical involvement before the project leaves that case. Now, I believe, and I'm working already with with Clench Wharton Parish Council, and I'm working, they, if you like, I've got a hub there, and they're working with their neighbouring villages to get that one set up. What I'm hoping in the way to cover West Norfolk, and it won't, not with Downham because it's too big on its own, but I'm hoping, I've been told I have 11 chairs, I'm hoping that I can cover north, south, east, west of the borough, and then the 3 towns get 2 chairs each, 3 chairs each. My maths isn't working. But for Downham, Kings Lynn and Hunstanton to work as towns, and for them to have a couple of chairs, and then for the villages to work as hubs, so that I've got 2 or 3 villages in the north, south, east and west working together, so that the whole of West Norfolk is covered, and that we can look at how in that 6 months we will make sure that the project is sustainable and that the chairs remain. Now, at the moment, Felgans have said we've got the chairs for 6 months, but I am determined that this project is going to work. I am determined our elderly people are not left lying on the floor, and also that our elderly people are picked up by people they know, because it's so you know, it's scary for them to have the fall, and then these, you know, they're lovely guys, don't get me wrong, but to have a friend there, or not, or even just a neighbour that knows them, to actually pick them up and say to them it's all going to be all right, you know, to make them a cup of tea, to make sure that they're sitting on the chair, and that they're comfortable, to make sure that a member of the family are involved and engaged, and that they're not left on their own afterwards. You know, to make sure all of those things, our elderly people deserve that, if they deserve anything. You know, we're talking about a generation here that's done everything for us, and I know my mum, bless her, you know, she's just worked for me and my brothers and sisters all her life. I just feel so strong that the people, there are a lot of people out there like my mum that has falls, and I so want to help them. I want to help our ambulance service, and I want to help our NHS, and I'm just asking Downham Market, please get involved, please let me come and work with you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Is there any questions?
Can I ask? Where exactly are the chairs going to be kept, and how are they going to be deployed?
Each council will make its own decision, basically. That's why I want the parishes to be involved, because I don't want to, I live in Dersingham, I don't want to tell you in Downham Market where the best place to put the chairs are. I want Downham Market to tell me where the best place to put the chairs are.
Well, they're going to be just deployed around town, and someone has to go and pick them up rather than being left with someone.
What's basically happening is we are hoping that they will be available 24/7, and I'm hoping that when I get the volunteers, I will be able to place them on a rota, so that what will happen is, yes, the volunteer will pick the chair up and they will go to the place. Yeah.
All right, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I ask what training that the first responders will be given?
Well, basically, that's with the ambulance service. I'm talking to the ambulance service presently about what training that they will need, and they will also have training on the helpful tool, so they will know how to use the helpful tool. They will also have an induction to the project. I mean, they will go through quite a vigorous training program, both in terms of their role and responsibility as volunteers, but how it will work, because basically what will happen is there will go a call to a central coordinator, and that coordinator will go out to lead volunteers, who will then go out to the volunteers. But the volunteers will be expected to make sure that helpful is complete, and also that it comes back to the centre, so that it goes on to the clinician. So all that training will be in place, but in addition to that, they will have all the normal training, like, you know, they will learn about West Norfolk carers and what they will do, they will learn about the project, they will have diversity training, they will definitely have safeguarding training. It will all be, you know, there will be a whole training programme that they will have to go through.
Is there any councillors who want to work with Sue on this project?
I would like to, but I'd need to know more information yet. Also, there is obviously, we're budgeted controlled. There's a price for the chairs and the price for whatever. Is there any idea of what the price would be so we could budget for it?
In the first 6 months, there's no cost. Further on, there will be a cost. But what I'm hoping to do, if we can get the project set up, is I'm hoping that the project will start fundraising. I'm hoping that, yeah, if the parish councils want to offer funding, then that would be great. But I'm looking to say to NHS England, look, if we can prove this project works, is there a way that we can get funding? And of course, go out to charity providers and other funders to help get funding. So the answer to your question is I don't know, but I will be working on that over the 6 months that the pilot is going.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. Sorry. Personally, I can't give the time to physically help, but I can give time to promote the project if it were to go ahead and if it were deemed to be feasible for the town. And I'd also like to say in support of the project, during my time working in care, I have seen during the swift response, a lady was left on the floor for hours and suffered heavy bruises, and she in fact died the next day. And I fully believe it was a result of that fall and the inability. And again, I'm not saying it's the NHS or the ambulance crew, but I believe it was because that fall was a huge cause of her death. So in terms of any sort of social media work, I can support physically. My schedule is very demanding, but if you'd like promotion anyway, then please get in touch with me.
Can I just say, at this stage, what I really need is a development group of councillors and local people to help me to develop the project in Downham Market. If you then want to volunteer to be a responder, that's brilliant. But I don't want to come into Downham Market and tell you anything. I've told you what the project's about. I would like people from Downham Market to say, OK, Sue, we'll get on board. Let's have a meeting and see how we can put this into Downham Market. And social media is amazing. And if you just took that role, that would be absolutely brilliant. Thank you.
Well, we've got 2 or 3 councillors. If we arrange a meeting with them, with you, and
Can I just suggest that we have a vote to form a working party to check that the whole of council are happy with this? So it could be, if Councillor Westropp is happy to propose, is that a working party is formed between Councillors Westropp, Brewer and Pyatt to work with West Norfolk Falls on this project. Yeah.
We've got a proposer, a seconder.
Councillor Brewer.
All those in favour? Right.
So,
Good.
Thank you.
So we'll set up a working party and we'll contact you with the working party.
So Sue, I'll pass on the councillors' details tomorrow so you can make direct contact with them.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your support. I have to go now. It's not that I'm not interested in your business, but I've left Mum on her own. So thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on then to item 5, public participation and written reports. Councillor Tony White.
Is it switched on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't try and keep you quite as long as that, but been quite successful of one of the things we was doing, myself and Andy Bullen. We got Stolefield's road all done. What's been waiting about 15 years. I mean, we're hoping in a very short time all the lights will be on. So, other 2 things I've got, the yellow lines and the 6th form, but that's work in progress at the moment. And once I know a bit more, then I'll come back to you on them.
Thanks a lot. Any questions for Councillor White?
Councillor White, have you heard any more about the Haygates? Oh, sorry. Councillor White, have you heard anything more about the Haygates roundabout? You know, the yellow lines that were going to be put there, etc.?
That is the work in progress. What happened is, we've done the traffic order about 3 years ago, but now they've restarted again. They had to have a couple of weeks just put it out to the general public. What I've actually had is somebody come back, 1 person and 3 others, complain about down at Birds Mill. I don't really want to go into it until such time I'm able to sort it out. And what I want to do is have better permits. And I said, no, I shan't want permits, because if I had permits, I should be back in the square one again with the movers parked there. And I don't want any movers parked there because that's so dangerous to come here, Fairfield. And, and we're very lucky we haven't had quite a serious accident. So I've got to go back again. How fast, some of these officers work. I'm not knocking them, but, that's too good me said I'll tell you tomorrow, because I've just got to wait for the time. But as soon as I do know, you'll be the first to let know.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Councillor White? Thanks a lot, Councillor. We move on then to borough councillors. Councillor Buller.
Good evening. I've submitted my report. If anyone's got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Councillor Buller? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Osborne.
Good evening, everyone. So I'll have a brief sort of update on a few things. Many will already know, but the Police and Crime Commissioner is doing a thing on Tuesday, 24th of October, Downham Market Town Hall, just as part of the to do with the budget setting, I think, with the police, but it's also part of the sort of police priority panel, which I'm a borough representative on. So if you're interested, in raising anything with him, then certainly attend that. So that's Tuesday, 24th of October. When it comes to recent business at the Borough Council, we've recently been talking through the corporate plan, and yesterday at CPP we sort of passed that on, so that'll be coming before full council relatively soon, which that was what Councillor Parish came and talked to us about. And we were also talking about our response to the county deal as well yesterday, which is obviously a matter for Norfolk County Council primarily, but the Borough Council is obviously interested in making sure that West Norfolk gets its fair share of the funding as it appears, if of course the county deal goes through, but that probably will happen in December, pending that vote at Norfolk County Council, in which case we will also of course have an election then in May 2024, if there is a county deal, for a directly elected leader as well, which may be combined with a general election or maybe not, depending on the timing of the said general election. In terms of other things, there is also the Borough Council has recently started a small grant scheme as well, so for community groups, and there is an application deadline of that for the 30th of November, if you're interested in that. So for various different groups, and once that closes, there'll be a couple of months, and then they will start going for it and deciding, basically. And then also briefly, I won't go into too much detail, but Councillor Westrop did ask about basically the local plan and some detail on that. So I will do a written response to you in a bit more detail, Councillor Westrop. But basically, from what I was looking through the plans, because there is, the basic background is that the inspectors in January obviously had some problems, I think it's fair to say, with the local plan, and some quite substantial amendments have been made. The main sort of gist is that originally, with Downham Market and housing allocation, there was going to be an allocation of 390 dwellings for Downham Market as our sort of growth over the years. Well, that's allocation, sorry, so that doesn't include windfall, which is the extra bit. But if you say about half, the allocation would have been 390, and that is now in the new, from what I could tell, and I may have made mistakes on this, so I will, when I do a full written thing to you, I will check all this, but it seems like that 390 is intended to increase to 600, when it comes to allocation, and that is to do with essentially the inspectors and the council's response to that, which is that the strategic growth corridor concept, which was going to push most development to the bit just by Kings Lynn. West Winch is still, of course, happening, but the idea is that for sustainability reasons, it is best, it is deemed best from the planner's perspective to focus growth around obviously the main rail links into the area, which obviously Downham Market, along with Watlington, does have very good access to sustainable transport in a way that many other areas do not. So that is sort of behind the reasoning. But essentially in the overall plan, in the sort of up to 2039, rather than about 6,000 houses overall to be built across the borough, looking more about 10,000. So obviously the number in Downham Market therefore does increase, and as I say, basically there will, so the idea in this plan, and these are all, public accessible documents. If you look at the local plan on the Borough Council website, you then can find the topic paper spatial strategy, which is 80 pages long, but most of it is, you don't have to read all 80 pages to get this. And so that is basically saying that you've got the sort of allocation of 600 then, and then a windfall requirement, and windfall is where you have houses that are sort of built, in addition to the ones allocated in the plan, of about 642 as well. So that would be about 1,200 houses built in Downham Market. But that is, we are talking about, over the next 16 years. But that is what is currently down in the plan, as far as I can tell. But of course, as I say, I've looked at this, but fairly briefly. So I will check those figures. But that is kind of the main gist, I think, of what Councillor Westrop was going to. But as I say, I will write you up a longer response as well. And I think that is about it. Okay. Any questions on that?
Frank.
Hi, I know you said it's over the next 16 years, but are there any plans to expand infrastructure? Because as it stands, I know the people building the houses will benefit, but you've got swelling schools, you've got GP services and pharmacies that are completely overrun. What's the plan for the infrastructure of this town? Is it just going to be ruled over by landowners and people who build houses? What about the actual people who live here and the facilities? Because that's what my biggest concern is, personally.
No, that is understandable. I mean, I know there are plans, some plans in place, because obviously when it comes to education, I mean, it's more of a whole Norfolk thing, but for instance, there is going to be some additional schooling, definitely in Downham Market, although at the moment I think the amount of extra funding allocated to the our main high school certainly isn't very high in the next couple of years, but one would hope that there would be a lot more coming over time, and of course there will be various contributions and stuff that come in as part of the development, and of course, if this did all happen, people do obviously come in, and there's jobs and things like that. But I suppose it is important to note, at the moment, Downham Market doesn't have its neighbourhood plan, so if you want to influence development as much as possible, not necessarily about the numbers, because there's perhaps, it depends how much that can be influenced, but certainly in terms of the type of development and density and some of the infrastructure, then obviously a neighbourhood plan can be quite helpful to that.
Councillor Osborne, I would just say the council are in the midst of doing a neighbourhood plan. Yes, however, a lot of this land is zero sill rated, so 25% of zero is still zero.
No, that is fair, yeah.
Councillor Diamond.
Can I ask what you're actually going to do about the electric supplies? At the moment, it's running at 220 volts whereas 5 years ago it was running at 240. The transformers are running at 120% now, so I expect something to be done about the supply of electric and other commodities to this town. Can you tell me what they're going to do about it? And are they going to continue to allow planning consent on housing land for commercial purposes? Which they have done in the past.
Okay. I cannot tell you what they're going to do about it.
Can you look for me, please?
I can have a look, yeah. And sorry, could you repeat that last bit, what you said about the zoning?
Domestic housing allocations have been used for commercial purposes.
Okay.
Within the town boundary.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thanks a lot, Councillor Osborne. Councillor Ratcliffe?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. I've written a report just today, unfortunately, so I've passed it on to the office and they'll circulate it to you tomorrow. I also followed up on the local plan questions. It's an indication of the complexity of the matter is that the figures I was given by the planning department are slightly different to the figures that Councillor Osborne was given, so I'm not sure whether I'm not getting all the information or what's happened, but the previous version of the local plan had 390 homes for Downham Market. Apparently it's now set at 647, but all but 70 of those are already in existing sites which have already got planning permission or under development, and it's only 70 short, and there are plans for a phase 2 of the Bridle Way site, so up on Broomhill. So apart from an extra phase 2 for that site, there isn't an expectation of extra houses, more additional sites in Downham Market at the in that local plan. In the report, when it gets circulated to you, it's got a link to the page on the Borough Council website and the documents which the planning department said might be of most interest to this council for any of you that would like to look into those further. But it does seem to be a complex matter. So the Borough Council has a local plan task group which is working on this at the moment. There is a consultation open at the moment, or reopened, but it closes this Friday. So any submissions, if you do have anything to submit on behalf of Downham Market, need to be in by midnight or a minute before midnight this Friday. And you can do that online as well. There's an email address. So please do look that up. Other news from the Borough Council, on the Environment and Communities panel, we've had information about various, Officer Jacob Medlock came and spoke to this council a couple of 2 or 3 meetings ago. Had a lot PowerPoint slide with a lot of schemes on it, which were coming up at the time for home insulation, perhaps boiler replacement, different schemes where people could insulate their homes or cut their emissions and cut the bills. The Housing Standards Department is willing to help anyone who's interested to advise whether you're eligible and what schemes would be best for your home. They're keen for people to contact them directly. So again, the contact details are in my report. They are in the process of updating the information on the Borough Council's website, but that seems to be going rather slowly. But they can talk through everything that's available. And they've also advised to be very cautious about cold calling offers, things that seem too good to be true. Of course, whenever there's funding available, there's all these scams spring up and cold calling. So, for example, my home address, not with a name, but with our address, got a letter from a firm called iEnergy, and it was talking about the local council has signed up to these schemes and seemed very plausible and said, you know, an inspector had tried to call, sorry, we missed you. But the actual address of this firm was Birmingham. So I took that into the council office and asked if they were aware of this firm called iEnergy, and they knew nothing about it. So they looked them up, and they're not registered on the Trustmark scheme or anything like that. So it's definitely a cold calling, but it looked very plausible. So perhaps if you could just warn people, if the Borough Council Housing Standards team are keen to advise anyone, and they will point people in the direction of registered providers. We hope that this scheme won't have the problems of the previous Green Homes grant, I can't think what it was called, where there was funding available, but the criteria for being a fitter to fit the insulation and the other schemes was so restrictive that there were not many local firms that were able to do it. So people wanted to get the funding and support a local firm, and firms were travelling here from Leicester to do and different places to do the work. So I think this they've got a better range of registered providers that can actually do the work now. So yeah, I would encourage anyone to contact Housing Standards and make inquiries on that. Funding can be available for tenants as well as the owners. So there's quite a range of schemes, and I think a lot of people will be eligible. So we may as well get some of the funding coming to West Norfolk if we can. Access to dentists is obviously a very difficult topic for a lot of families in this area, well, across Norfolk and other areas. The new Borough Council administration is going to see what it can do within its remit to try and get better access to dentists, NHS dentists for the residents. So we can't provide a dental service, but we can potentially look at making premises available for a new practice to open up. And we're going to hopefully lobby for the dental contract to be improved. We'll try to get a dental school to be set up in Norfolk, for example, along the lines of the School of Nursing that we've got in Kings Lynn. And also try and hopefully work with Norfolk County Council to establish school dentists or some sort of provision in schools, because a lot of children, unfortunately, are not seeing dentists. So that's it's going to be debated this Thursday at the Borough Council's full council as to whether we want to go down that line as a council. Of course, I very much hope we will, and we'll try and improve that aspect of life. So talking about local services, it's very restricted on what we can do as a council, but we'll try and do what we can carefully. Just one final note on that as well. The Norfolk Libraries and Information Service is bringing back its Warm and Well offer. So it's got funding to be able to collect items like blankets and hot water bottles and toiletries for anyone that needs them, free of charge. So some of you might remember the grab-and-go bags that they've had previously, I think last winter, and they've got those in place. They've also got the Tricky Period initiative, so they've got period products for anyone that needs to use those, and it's an expense that some people struggle with. So that's always been going, and they're now going to have more items for the cold weather as well. So do encourage anyone to pop into the library and see if there's, if they would benefit from that. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much, Councillor. That's good. Thanks. Councillor Tyler?
No.
Oh. Sorry.
Councillor Tyler's not here.
Councillor Tyler.
Can we take a second? I'm talking about the yellow lines. Do anybody know where we propose putting them? Because what I've actually got here is a copy of what's going to be about Downham, or supposed to be about. So if I actually leave them, then you can hand them round. So at least you'll know where we propose putting them.
Thanks a lot. I don't think that we have any police here. Public participation. Anyone, member of the public? Councillor?
Not councillor
anymore, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's more of an admin question, actually. Is it possible, and I'm not asking for any extra time to be spent on it, and certainly no printing, when you upload the agenda to the website, could you attach, if possible, relevant reports? Because tonight we've heard, like, for instance, Councillor Bullen's got a report that he's uploaded, which we might be interested in.
Councillor Bullen's one is on the website already, and Councillor
it?
Ratcliffe's will go tomorrow. There's a separate page on the bit where full council is. At the bottom, it says Borough Councillor reports.
Brilliant.
We don't get one from Councillor Tyler, but obviously he gives
No.
quite an in-detailed one here. So.
No, that's lovely. And it's things like, for instance, on here it says to discuss the request from Wimbersham Parish Council. Well, obviously, while you're all talking, we're trying to catch up with how this came about and what the whole reason was for it. I mean, the Mayor and Deputy Mayor and Councillor Damon, Sharman, they'll all remember 2 clerks previous, everything used to be uploaded at the same time as the agenda, if it was possible. Not confidential stuff, obviously. But if you could, that'd be lovely.
Thanks a lot for that. Well, look into it. Any other public?
I've got one email.
Written.
Yeah. I would like to ask the following question. In September meeting, bouncy castles were banned in the JCC and the Town Hall. I'd like to ask if this could be looked at again, as it is a shame that parents of the town can't use the space for birthday parties, which typically have bouncy castles. Bouncy castles would carry their own public liability in the same way as any other business, and this would cover you if an injury occurred.
Anyone want to respond to that?
We can't change a proposition for 6 months.
Unless 5 councillors put it
Unless
forward.
5 councillors decide to.
Right, but anyway, if there are 5 councillors, we'll talk about it. Councillors' questions?
No, you've got Downham.
Oh, you forgot Downham Amateur Dramatics.
Oh, sorry. Amateur Amateur Society.
We've got Mr Bond.
Sorry.
So, hello everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steve Bond and I'm the current chair of Downham Amateur Dramatic Society. Dad's is currently on a bit of a hiatus. The unfortunate cancellation of The Importance of Being Earnest, mixed with the cost of previous shows, we've decided that over the next few months we'll be taking a break and doing a bit of fundraising, with the hope to return to perform a pantomime in January 2025. I'm also here because it was brought to my attention that there were comments made about the society in a previous meeting, that it was said by an individual that they left Dad's due to a bullying culture. Now, I can report that at one point, Dad's did have a bullying culture. Now, since taking place as chair, I've spoken to many people who have informed me of this. The individual who was the cause of this was removed from the society earlier on this year due to the amount of bullying towards others, as well as their inability to safeguard effectively, and other concerns. It is important that the society took notice of all the concerns raised and treated them with the utmost importance. A good amount of my time since then has been spent making sure the society is a safe, welcoming place for anyone who wants to perform. And that is what Dad's is here for. It is there to enable those who want to perform and to be able to do so and enjoy it. So as we look forward to doing a lot of fundraising over the next couple of months, if anyone is interested in assisting with any form of fundraising activity and has any questions for the society, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thanks a lot for that. Okay. Councillors' questions? Correspondence. No? Item 7, to approve the minutes of the extraordinary full council meeting held on the 2nd of October 2023. We've got a proposer for that?
Councillor Westrop.
Seconder?
Councillor Lane.
All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Good. Item 8, to accept recommendations within the minutes of the following committees. Downham in Bloom Committee.
Yep. We ask to accept the minutes of the Downham in Bloom Committee of the 11th of September 2023.
I've got a seconder. All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Property Committee.
I'd like to ask full council to accept the minutes of the property committee of the 31st of August 23.
Seconder for that.
Councillor Lewis.
All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Community Development Committee.
I'd like to propose that full council accept the minutes for the Community Development Committee for the 5th of September 2023.
Seconder.
Councillor Levers?
All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Human Resources Committee?
I'd like to ask full council to accept the minutes of the Human Resources Committee of the 21st of September 23.
Seconder?
Councillor Ingleby?
All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Planning Committee?
We'd like to ask the full council to accept the minutes of the Planning Committee for the 12th of September and for the 29th of September as issued.
Can I just make an amendment there, Frank? I'm very sorry, Councillor Diamond. I put on the 29th of September, it should be the 26th, so that's your proposal.
Yeah, proposal.
I put the proposal there that we remove the 29th and change it to the 26th.
My fault, sorry.
Can I have a seconder to support me, please?
All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Governance Committee?
I propose that the minutes of the 5th of September from the Governance Committee are recommended by full council.
Seconder for that?
Councillor
All
Brewer?
those in favour?
All, thank you.
Good. Item 9, to adopt the policy recommendations from the following committees. Community Development Committee, Grants Policy. Has got a proposal for that? Seconder.
Councillor Buxton, Councillor Stephen Wise?
All those in favour of that?
All, thank you.
Good. Community Development Committee.
Oh, my apologies.
Sorry.
Are you abstaining or against, Councillor Lane? Against.
Item 9.2, Community Development Committee, Community Engagement Policy. We've got a proposal for that?
Councillor Buxton?
Seconder.
Councillor Levers?
All those in favour?
Councillor Diamond?
Against.
Against. Which is one against.
Item 9.3, Grievance Policy.
Grievance policy has been reviewed and updated by the Governance Committee. I now propose that the policy is adopted by full council.
Seconder.
Councillor Lane?
All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Thank you. Item 10, to agree payment of bills. Got a proposal for that?
Councillor Ingleby?
Seconder.
Councillor
All those in favour?
Right, so Councillor Jordan's not in it, and Councillor Diamond? Abstain. And everybody else is in favour,
It's
thank you.
carried, yeah. Item 11, to receive finance update.
Are councillors happy with the statements that were sent round for the bank accounts?
Yes.
Any questions?
Agree with that?
So happy to accept them. I sent round, sorry, Mr Mayor, 11.2 I'm moving on to, is that okay? Are you okay if I just move down the list?
Yes, of course.
11.2, the bank reconciliation. I sent you the bank reconciliation to the 30th of September 2023. Any questions or concerns? It all balanced? So accepted.
Yep.
List of receipts, which is payments 1 to 420. Again, any issues or questions? No, accepted.
Yep.
11.4 VAT. I did the VAT return on the 13th of October. We're expecting back £12,810.63. I sent you the input. Any questions? So we're accepted.
Yep.
11.5, Councillor Ingleby may wish to speak.
Thank you. On Monday, yesterday, Councillor Lane and I carried out a 10% check of payments out for September and no issues were found.
Thank you.
Do we need a proposal for that?
I don't think so. No. Okay. And then the budget versus actuals. At the moment, the only one that you're over budget on is for the Jubilee Community Centre, Jubilee Sports Centre. They're all rolled into one at the moment. So you've got an overspend of £20,957.16 Obviously, there will be bills that come in for the number 6 renovation, which are unbudgeted, which will go against the reserves, but they're not in at the moment. And there will be the bills from the Town Hall kitchen. However, I've already put in the request to the Borough Council to get the money back from that, so that will be due back shortly. And then there's some minor work, such as a broken fire exit door at the back, which I've instructed the work for, which is unbudgeted but mandatory.
Everyone okay with that? Yep. Item 12, to discuss the public sector deposit fund and options and agree actions. Anyone want to talk on that?
I would like to ask for the RFO, what is the burn rate at the moment till the end of the year? How are we looking?
Well, HR just looked at theirs earlier, and they're at 43% of budget on the main salary lines. There's lines such as recruitment that not a penny has been spent on, and they voted to do the recruitment via Indeed, which is a free service, up to expenses, etc., which are there or thereabouts, but we'll probably go over on there. Downham and Bloom were under budget. Property at the moment are under budget. However, regarding the road at the JCC, that could take that over, and there's some flooding issues, which is why that's on the agenda. I mean, ultimately, because of number 6's work and obviously the other SIL funds, you are going to end up over budget, regardless of what we do now.
By a substantial amount, or?
Again, it depends on the staffing at the moment. We've got 2 members of staff who aren't in for reasons that I won't say publicly. That requires cover for the period to keep the buildings open, so that's going to be a significant increase just from a salary perspective. And then it depends on how you vote on other things, because obviously the car parks, if council are minded to charge, that may stop the overspend on the roadway, but if you choose not to spend on car parks, then potentially you may go over there because of the road at the Hollies is getting to the point where it will need to be resurfaced before the end of March, and that will blow the £50,000 budget.
Okay. Thank you very
But
much.
I haven't got a specific figure because it's all over the place with different committees at the moment.
Yeah. Will councils get a overall burn rate eventually before, obviously?
I mean, this is something that a previous councillor had brought up about burn rates. I don't actually understand what a burn rate is. I can tell you what the percentage is actuals against budget. I can tell you those percentage lines, but with a burn rate, other than salaries, which is the same almost every month unless there's sickness or injury, the rest are going up and down depending on what council vote on. So to give you a burn rate is, if what you mean is how much are we going to spend by the end of the year, it really depends on what you decide on your agenda. So I can't give you a figure. I can give you actuals against budget and say, like, the JCC is overspent by over 20,000, but I can't give you a projection for the end of the year because it depends what councillors want between now and March.
Yeah, I was just looking to, so that if we had a figure in mind of how much we're spending to how much is going to be left at the end of the year, then obviously council would know that we've got to be prudent then, or not as so.
Yeah, I mean, I can send out tomorrow actuals versus budget, which will tell you every single line in the council where we are, but I can't predict where we'll be in March.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No worries.
Any other actions?
So regarding this public sector deposit fund, this is a ring-fenced local authority fund. Ring-fenced meaning that it can't be...
Oh, I was going to speak.
Sorry.
Go on. Well, I've got some comments to make on it. Shall I let you finish first?
If you're happy for me to.
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you want to just turn off your mic?
Sorry.
No, you're all right. So, yes, this is a ring-fenced account. So whereas businesses can use the money that they receive in and use it on capital expenditure and staffing costs, etc., this can only be held in an account which is protected. It's not protected like the FSA, which is £85,000 per institution. However, again, because it's ring-fenced and supported for local authority, I would argue that it's a safer fund than it would be if we had it 85,000 in one institution, because at the moment we have all of our money in Lloyd's. So if it goes under tomorrow, and I'm not saying it will, but we would only have 85,000 back. And at the moment, with what you've got in seal reserves, working account, etc., you stand to lose somewhere around £800,000 to £900,000. Whereas this is a ring-fenced account, but that's what I would say.
I've done some research on this, as I do, and I agree we need to make more interest on the public cash we hold, but there is no guarantee. I've looked at this fund, and it's actually an investment stocks and shares, which is a volatile market. And if we needed the money and the FTSE index was low at that time, we could end up with less money than we put in. There is no guarantee that these investments will make money.
I mean, I would argue that, yes, there is stocks and shares relating to this company, but this fund that I'm proposing is not a stocks and shares fund. It runs with the rest of the market in what they're doing as a whole company, but at the moment...
If you look at the statistics online, there is purely stocks and shares in investment, and I'm concerned about that we're using public money and putting it in this account. And I'd also question, can we be sure if we invested this public money in this account that it would be used for ethical purposes, or could it be used to support factions?
I did ask the question about ethical investment, and they assure me that it isn't related to anything that's war related and nothing relating to oil related.
Yeah. I have had a good look at business accounts, and as you know, I thought our interest was a bit low. I've queried it in the past on bank accounts, and there are huge banks that do offer. One of them in particular is 4.55%.
And which bank is that with?
That is Virgin.
And what's the restrictions on that from council funding? Because a lot of the bigger banks will not touch councils.
Well, this said business accounts, and I'm sure it did. But there are other accounts. That was one I just happened to see. But I'm not keen on putting public money in stocks and shares.
I tend to agree with you.
Councillor Inkelvire. Do you want?
Sorry?
Councillor Inkelvire.
Councillor Inkelvire.
Can the money be transferred out without notice?
If you've done the request by 11 a.m, the money is released the same day.
Okay. How long would it be retained on deposit? Is there a minimum?
There's no minimum amount, and what do you mean by retained?
Is there like a 90-day period, loss of interest?
No, the one that I forwarded to you is purely instant access. As long as we've done the request by 11 a.m, the money is returned the same day.
And it's a minimum of 250,000?
On this one, yes.
On this one. And this particular account is used by churches, charities, local authorities throughout the UK.
When the council fell in Essex, it was one of the funds that was actually praised because it had protected the money, whereas it hadn't been protected elsewhere.
I have also done some research. I think it may be a good idea for the council to consider putting our money into the account.
Any other councillors want to speak? Do you want a proposal?
Propose that we put a figure that the clerk thinks appropriate.
I mean, I was suggesting the reserves account, which isn't needed immediately, and leave the working balance and the normal day-to-day and the seal money and the earmarked reserves all in the account that we've got at the moment.
That would be my proposal. That is my proposal.
A seconder for that?
I second.
Councillor Lane.
All those in favour?
Councillor Wells, how are you voting? Councillor Steve Moyes? Against. Councillor Betty Moyes?
Those against?
Abstain. Councillor Buxton?
Abstain, please.
And Councillor Sharman?
Abstain.
And Councillor Levers?
Against.
So that will pass.
That's passed. All right. We'll move on then to item 13, to discuss continuance of live streaming full council and agree actions.
So at the moment, Council have live streaming through till December paid for and voted. Councillor Pyatt asked for this to be raised because we're due for it to be renewed if we're carrying on from January onwards. You're currently paying £175 VAT plus VAT for the live streaming, and then obviously the £100 that you voted last full council meeting for the microphones that are now in the room.
I feel now that people are able to get out and come to meetings, and I feel that we're spending money which is not necessary. I understand the dark nights, but I still would like to see us look at the costings of all these projects that we keep developing from the council.
Councillor Lane.
We need to be seen to be transparent still with developments that were in Facebook, etc. There are young families with young children who don't have the time at this time of night, the tea and bath time, etc., who have the opportunity to see what's going on in the local council. I think it's vital that we carry on the service at the moment.
Councillor Buxton.
I am for this to carry on. It's a vital part, and as chair of community as well, I think we'd be doing a disservice to not be transparent and available. I was one of those people before I became a councillor. I work full time. I unfortunately didn't have the time to come to meetings, so online was vital for me, so that I could tell what was going on, and if I needed to, I could email the office, and I didn't feel left out. So for me, I'm more than happy for this to carry on.
Anybody else want to? Oh.
Yeah, I'll second that. There's a lot of people disabled or even some elderly what don't want to come out, especially like in the winter. I think this is an essential link just so they can see that their council is running the town as hopefully they wish. So I hope it continues.
I've checked the viewing numbers on YouTube over the last 6 months, and an average of 175 viewings for each meeting. I think that's quite a significant number of people, and as others have stated, one of the Nolan principles is to make decisions in an open and transparent manner, and by enabling people to watch our meetings we are following this principle. Therefore, the number of people viewing suggests that live streaming should continue, and also it is a way of demonstrating a meaningful method of good governance to the public. So I suggest we do keep it going.
I tend to agree. So, we've got a
propose it.
Seconder?
We're doing it through till March, yes? Yeah.
Yes. Seconder?
Councillor Buxton.
All those in favour?
Councillor Pyatt against, yeah?
Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, that's passed. So we're live streaming till October. Item 14 to discuss the car parks. 14.1. Are the council wanting the car parks to be managed? Anyone want to speak on this?
Just for the public's point of view, we had a meeting with the Borough Council. This has been a long-standing backwards and forwards for the last 12 years, and I've been in about 5 years' worth of the meetings. I hear both sides of it, so the reason that it's on the agenda is because this is the new council, this is the new term for 4 years, so I would like a decision made one way or the other, and then I can end that discussion for at least the next 4 years. So this is the way that it's been done is so that Borough Council suggested that we went with a flow chart. So regarding the question of our councillors wanting the car park managed, at the moment we do not have parking orders. We cannot enforce anything on the car parks, and it is a free-for-all. That may be what council want, but that is what this question means. And if you want car parking orders, it's going to cost in the region of £4,000. It's done by Norfolk County Council's legal team, MP Law. Obviously, if you don't have that, then we can't manage the accessible parking, which is what I get a lot of comments on. I ultimately don't mind what you decide, and I don't have a say, but I'd just like a decision tonight, please, so that we can end this.
Accessibility-wise, I completely agree. Some management does be needed, but I don't think 4K is a reasonable place to put money where it could be better spent in other areas.
Anybody else? Councillor?
Can I just say when it says...
Can you put your mic on, please?
Not ad.
It is on.
Oh, there you go. When it says manage the car parks, it means charging for car parks.
No, not necessarily. It just means having the orders in there so that they can have an enforcement officer go round.
Yeah, but eventually it's going to be the charge, isn't it?
Well, that's moving down the questions. If you decide not to manage it, then we don't move on.
I don't think that's a very good idea at all, because it won't just stop people coming into the town. If people who work in the town, if people have to pay to work in the town, it's more or less a local income tax. You know, you ask people to work in the town and take a £50 a month pay cut, especially when you're going to have a out-of-town shopping centre being built, which is automatically going to reduce the amount of cars coming into town anyway. I'm definitely against it. Sorry.
Anybody else want to?
Stephen does.
I've been involved in this car park thing for the past 18 years, not 14.
Oh, my apologies, that's what Borough told me.
And the lady from Borough said she'd been doing it for 20 years. But the thing is, if we don't get the car parks managed, then we can get anybody parking where they want, when they want. Whereas if we've got car park orders, then we can dictate what happens to those similar. I'm not talking about car park charging or anything like that. But what I'm talking about is if we can actually control the car parks ourselves, that will be good. At the moment, we can't. We just can't. If somebody parks an Arctic right across the market square when they on a Friday night, and we say to him, move it, he can give you a two-finger salute until you get out of it. We've got to be able to can manage our own car park. Now, without the car park orders, and I agree £4,000 seems a lot of money, but without those car park orders, we can't manage our own car parks. I'm not talking about charging or anything else, but that's being in control of our own car parks. Thank you.
I would say that, but why can't people park where they want and like how they want in a lot of ways? And I agree that there shouldn't be some kind of tax to work within the town. I do completely agree that.
It wouldn't necessarily, it's just stated, we're not talking about car park charging at the moment, we're talking about managing our car parks.
No, I know that. It's just, it just feels like who knows where it will lead in the future, and once one form of enforcement comes in, other forms of enforcement come in, and you see there becomes a chain of enforcement, and then everybody's being watched, and it just doesn't feel like, you know, you can park where you want anymore. People should be entitled to park somewhere without having to rush back and get slapped with a fine. I've seen the people who do enforce the fines around here, you know, the people running to their car 1 minute late and they're getting fined. They can't afford it. So I'm completely against it.
Can I just say, I think what we need to really put in the proposal is what a lot of people are feeling here, that they don't want parking charges and they're too worried to vote to say that they should be managed. So is there some way that we can write this proposal that further down the line we don't find ourselves, as Councillor is saying?
Councillor Pye.
We as a council are obliged to look after the disabled spaces and the parking in the car parks. It's a wonder we haven't been challenged by some legal body because we haven't got car park orders in place. We should have car park orders in place to protect ourselves and the residents. If you do not put them in place, and I've been trying to get this for 20 odd years, more than Dave has, you should have car park orders in place to protect yourself, because the disabled people the car parking spaces that are used are being filled up by people who can walk away, and we can do nothing about it. One of these days, somebody's going to challenge the council, and it's a wonder that hasn't happened before now, to say that we're breaking the rules of some rule. I can't remember the date of the rules, but Claire will tell you if there is a rule there.
I was going to say, just to clarify with that, we've gone back to a solicitor on that, and
and actually agree this proposition so that we actually get back control and then can start to make perhaps less heated decisions about sort of paying for it, because charging is not the only way forward to ensure car parking is actually supported in this town. There are other options like precept, grants, all the rest of it. Charging is not the only option, but to be very sensitive to that charging point.
Very quickly, if we do not go down the managed path, or if we do go down the managed path but we don't enable charging, then it will become very costly for the council because they will have to pay for the enforcement of the orders, because there will be no money back from charging for car parks. If we decide we don't want any car parking orders and we stay as we are, then undoubtedly the effect will fall on the precept payer, because car parks will then need to be maintained without any cost from car park charges. So whatever we decide tonight, we have to look at the full implications. Whether we do or we don't, there will be implications of cost for the council if we don't charge. That's the only point I wish to raise.
Councillor Sharman.
Yeah, I think the point that Tony brought up about car park charges, I've been involved with the car parks now for too many years, but the point is, you get cars parked there on a Friday night in the car park, and we can't do a thing. We can't move them, we can't thin it. And I've been involved where you and just your stall have had cars actually sitting across your stall. Now, with the car park orders, we're in charge. But unless we do these car park orders, we're not in charge of the car parks. We can't do anything about it. We can't go to get them moved. We've just got to put up with what people want to do. I'm sorry. I'm not talking about car park charging. I'm talking about car park orders.
Miles.
I've been living in this town 50 years. I've been a rate payer for 50 years. I've been a precept payer for 50 years. Part of my precept has paid for all the car parks that are in this town, consistently for the last 50 years. I have a problem that we do need management of car parks. That is obvious, because there are certain people in this town who believe they have the right to park their car where they like, when they like, as long as they like, and how they like. And as far as I'm concerned, yes, We do need management for the car parks, but that's just stage one of the action. £4,000, considering what I've paid in rates, doesn't sound a lot to me in precept. And that's all I've got to say. I'm for it.
Assuming you get car parking orders, what are the on costs of managing it and enforcement?
Again, that's another question for council. How often do you want it enforced and the regularity?
The point is, if the orders are there, we can enforce them, but at the moment we can't. That's the only thing. Councillor.
And you did say you didn't know what the cost was for that?
No, not at the moment.
No, because it depends what firm you decide to go with, how often you want the enforcement. Are you having them down every day for the first month to try and get the position across? Are you only doing it once a week? That, as I say, that's why we've done it as a flowchart. It depends what the council want to do.
Depends how you act.
Yeah, so I've got to be on the side of Frank. The precept is everybody in this town is paying for them car parks and have done all the years they've lived here, and they're still paying for the car parks on the precept. Why would you want to bring in car park orders, which then will no doubt lead to car park charging, and then you're charging your electorate, your people in your town, again for their car parks when they're already paying for it on the precept? That's my take on it.
Well, we're talking first, the first line is about management. Do we want to manage our car parks? If you want to charge for car parking, that's a different story. So what we're talking about now in this first line is, do we want to manage our car parks?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'm quite sure there is car park orders out somewhere in the parish that we could use to adapt for Downham Town Council without any charging.
It's the cost of the consultation, Councillor Pyatt, that comes involved. We have to do a formal 2-week consultation and any law.
So,
I understand that in that 50 years that I've been here, prior to fairly recent, maybe the last 18 years or 20 years, before that there were car parking.
My understanding
under the old Urban District Council.
My understanding were there were car parking orders until 2019. They were suspended, ready to bring in paid parking, but because of council changing, we've brought it to the table so that the new council can decide whether they wish to go with the old structure or move it forward. But at the moment, we do not have car parking orders.
They were scrapped.
So, we're in a situation where everyone's had their say, I think. So, do I have a proposal that we manage the car parks?
Can I propose that we manage the car parks?
A second for that? All those in favour of us managing the car parks?
Okay, so Councillor Moyes?
Those against?
Oh, you're in favour, sorry.
He's in favour.
Okay.
Those against?
And Councillor Buxton?
Abstain, please.
Okay. So 1 against, 1 abstention.
So we've got a situation now where we want to manage the car parks.
Now, what I would suggest now is that a working party is formed by council to decide what you want for the car park orders. So this is not charging, this is purely, are you having hour restrictions, 3-hour restrictions, whatever. Either that, or you vote to leave it to the office to bring back in what was already there. Yeah. That's the other option.
So we bring a working party, if we can get a working party of, say, 3 councillors.
I'm quite happy to go on that.
Councillor Pyatt?
Councillor Pyatt and
Councillor
Councillor
Jordan? Councillor Lane?
Oh,
Councillor Sharman? Yeah. Right. And Councillor Steve Moyes?
Okay.
And who's proposing that working party?
I'll propose it.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Restrup.
All those in favour, we form that working party?
Lovely, thank you.
I think everyone does. Thanks a lot.
leave all the others on the table, eh?
So we've more or less done it.
Yeah, so you now need to move on to 14.2.
Good. So we don't need 14.3, 14.4.
Well, depends what we want to do. This is where it comes to the charging. This is
Well,
the vote for.
Yeah, no, if the working party come forward, then with whatever they want, then we can vote on it.
No, the working party are only developing the car parking orders to suggest what hours are running. They are not suggesting anything to do with charging. So this is the next question.
Okay. We'll move on to 14.3. If councillors
14.2.
14.2.
Councillors wanting the car park managed, do councillors want funding to come from the precept or from the service users?
So if it's the precept, then the full money from MP law will come from the precept, obviously from the reserves because it's unbudgeted. If you're looking at service users, that will then lead on to 14.3, depending on your answer. So, dependent on your answer to this one, you've decided that you want the car parks managed, so now you need to decide, are you funding it from the precept, so you're paying the 4,000 from reserves in effect, or are you looking to take the money from service users? If you vote to do service users, you're therefore implying that you're going to do car park charging, which will lead on to agenda point 14.3.
Well, I'd like to propose that we take it from the precept, personally. Is second for that?
Yeah. So can I just ask a question? Is this purely for the orders?
Yes.
This is purely for the orders?
Well, I would argue not. We're now talking about in general.
No, this is in general.
I mean, you can make the, if that's what you want, but at some point we need to get to the point of, are we charging or are we not charging? So if you want to make that into 14.3,
no.
The agenda is there, we can use how we want it.
At the moment, we're talking about we want to take it from the precept, and that means that
So
we don't charge.
is this saying, sorry, yeah, is this saying that if we agree to manage from the precept, then the precept payers will be paying for enforcement,
No.
and there will be no charges?
There'd be no charging.
And the enforcement of the orders will come from the precept payers?
Yes.
And we have no idea how much that will cost?
Well, to do the orders is 4,000 approximately, but the actual enforcement, until council have decided how often you're doing that enforcement, I can't go out and get prices on that.
Well, so we've been asked to vote for something we do not know a cost on. I think it's dangerous. I think it's really dangerous, and I do not agree with that proposal. I think it's dangerous that we are asked to vote for something that could cost an astronomical amount of money.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Inkelvai here. We're being asked to answer a question and we're missing vital information as to how much it's going to cost. And if we look back at the Alpha car parking study, they're saying that if we do 2 hours free parking and then pay to park, and anything above that, or we will lose money. It will actually cost the council money to enforce it. And I think I said at the meeting with Martin Chisholm that we can't make that decision until we've got more information with what the working party has come back with about what we should do and how we should, you know, for instance, one car park can be an hour and then we charge, 2 hours and then we charge. So I think it's unfair to ask us a question. We can't answer it.
Well, that's what I said first of all. If the working party come up with a set of proposals, then we can vote on it. But at the moment, we don't know what those proposals would be.
Yeah.
That's my view.
Sorry.
Go on.
Yeah, surely that's what the working party is for.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel. I feel we're jumping ahead. If we form the working party comes up with a set of proposals, and then we can vote on that or not. Does everyone agree with that?
Then move it on.
Okay? So we'll leave it at that then. The working party will be formed up, and they'll come back with a set of proposals, then we can decide.
And costings.
And costings.
And costings.
Okay?
So 14.2, 3 and 4 can't be answered tonight?
No, that's what I thought. Okay, everyone agree with that? Go
on. 14.2 2, 3 and 4 to another date.
I've already done that.
Well,
I didn't hear a seconder.
Yes, he's going to second it.
Yeah, all right. So the proposal is that we move 14, 2, 3 and 4 to a later date once we get the information. Everyone agree with that?
Yeah.
Can you signal your agreement?
Yeah, all in favour? Lovely.
Great, lovely, fine. So, we now move on to item 15, to approve the works of the Jubilee Community Centre site to resolve the flooding issue. Councillor Jordan, I think, yeah?
No, Councillor Jordan can't talk on
Oh,
the matter.
sorry. Yeah.
He shouldn't be in the room.
I think Councillor...
Yeah, in the past, if we get heavy rain or thingy, since the skateboard park's been built, the drain there has been shut off. So what we've got to do to get the car park free from water is to create a new access, a new drainage away from that. Now, without that, at times there can be 6 inches of water lying in that car park there. So we need to do that, and I think if we're going to do anything at a JTC, it's got to be one of the first things that we've got to do, because it's terrible when it had heavy rain, kids are getting out of the cars to go and play football, and there's 6 inches of water lying there.
All right.
So at the moment, you're looking. The reason it's on here is because it can't go to property because there is no budget for the Jubilee Community Centre. And as I said in the previous one, you're at the moment already spent just on ongoing costs £20,957. I've sent pictures of what happened earlier on in the week regarding the flooding, and at the moment, the work is going to cost in the region of £1,553. I am meeting another company tomorrow, but my suggestion would be to give an allowance for me to be able to get the work done.
Councillor.
The biggest problem is that the water's trapped on concrete, and it's got concrete all around it. It needs to be raised so the water can run off into the grass.
No, that won't solve it. We tried that in the past.
Yeah.
I've been involved in this for many years, as you know. We put a good soakaway in, and then they put the skate park on top, and that killed it. It stopped it running. So I think this idea is a good idea, and we should allow the clerk £2,000 to get on with the job.
Do you want to propose that?
I'll propose it.
Second of that?
I think Councillor Moyes wants to say something.
Moyes, sorry.
Are we getting 3 quotes as usual, like we should do?
Yes.
And then we come back to the council for...
No, that's what I'm asking, is that I don't wait another month to get it done. You give me the budget to do it.
We're proposing that we get £2,000 and get 3 quotes. So the money would be there if the council agree.
And the clerk decides on the best quote?
Best value, yes.
Best value.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we've got a proposer and a seconder.
Sorry, Councillor Pyatt was proposing. Who was seconding? Yes.
Councillor Damon.
I'm going to say that the figure of £2,000 is set, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got a proposer and a seconder.
Who's seconding, sorry? Councillor Damon. Yep.
All those in favour?
All, thank you.
Good. Item 16, to discuss the request from Wimbersham Parish Council regarding low road footpath contribution. Anyone want to discuss that?
How quick is this needed
Shall I
to be
read
done?
it out for the benefit of the public? Dear Downham Market Town Council, we have identified that the verge at the top of Low Road is well walked by pedestrians from both Wimbersham and Downham Market. Many Downham Market residents walking this section as part of their dog walk, evidenced from the verge being worn away. The narrow, uneven verge, coupled with the speed of traffic and limited visibility when entering Low Road, makes for hazardous walking. We therefore felt a need to improve the junction for pedestrians by extending the footway from Broom Hill into Low Road to link the public footpath beyond the first house. NCC Highways have provided a quotation of £11,000. We have been awarded 50% parish partnership funding and a donation from Councillor Brian Long, leaving a balance of £3,500 to pay. We would very much like to proceed with the project as we believe it will deliver an important safety enhancement for pedestrians and encourage more pedestrians to walk the adjoining footpath into the countryside linking Wimbersham and back to Downham Market, with the associated health benefits walks bring to our public. One reason for writing for a contribution towards the 50% costs required to fund the works, whilst like us, we appreciate you have many demands on your finances, we would welcome any contribution you can offer towards the project.
Any councillors want to speak on that? Councillor.
Is it, have we been asked by other councils in the past for contributions to funding?
I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of in my time in council, which is 5 years, but I can't say hand on heart.
Would it be setting a precedent for future?
Probably, possibly. Yeah.
Would it be, perhaps as we are adjoined to them, and as a spirit of entente cordiale, that if we are minded to make a contribution, we make a small goodwill gesture?
Yes,
with the undertaking that no liability for future maintenance because of this donation, and it is perhaps as a one-off gesture of goodwill.
Do you want to suggest a figure?
I run up and down that quite often, and that is a dangerous road. They do speed up there.
I would suggest £500.
More than that, I would have thought. How much are they asking for?
3,500 is the amount they're trying to find funding for.
Just a minute. Go on.
I have to say, I think that we should help to support this. Wimbersham is a neighbouring village. A lot of people obviously walk into town, probably.
On that road.
Run into town. It's got to be good for the environment, it's got to be good for the health of the people, and it ought to be a safe footpath to do so. And I think, especially if there's got to be a lot of people in Wimbersham that come into Downham, I think we should help support this.
Okay. Councillor.
Can I just ask where the boundary lies? Is this actually in Downham or is it in Wimbersham?
My understanding is Wimbersham.
It's a bit of both, because the sign from Downham is the other side of the road. So I'm not sure. I would propose that we actually offer £1,000.
We've got a proposal for £1,000.
I'm going to say Councillor Jordan hasn't had his chance yet.
I think you'll find the boundary is on the speed limit coming into the village town. So I think that part is actually in Downham Market, but without carrying out a full boundary check, I can't be 100% sure, but I do think that is in Downham, that little piece where they're talking about at the top. But then Low Road is actually Wimbersham, so there's a very fine line between the two.
Well, we've got a proposal for £1,000 donation. I've got a seconder for that. Seconder. All those in favour? Got one.
Yeah, I'm just finishing this one. Okay.
Those against? Five against.
Yep.
Carried.
Abstaining. Lovely, thank you. Yep, carried.
Is the proposal's carried, so we'll make a proposal, make a donation of £1,000 to Wimbersham.
Can we stipulate that's a one-off?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it'll have to be voted at any time.
Yeah.
Item 17, to receive an update on the renovation work of the Town Hall and agree actions.
So councillors have received a myriad of photographs in the last week. We found that our boards were even worse than the Guildhall's Shakespearean floorboards once the top level of floorboards were taken off, probably of a similar age. But so I've had to obtain approval from 3 other councillors and have that work done. So that's in the region of £5,000, so that's unbudgeted work. At the moment, it's all going relatively smoothly. Other than that, we're working really well with the contractor, and it's looking like we're on schedule for what we're expecting timescale-wise. And at the moment, I'm very pleased with the work that's going on. There's a section that is going to need an RSJ, and I'm working with the contractor on that, but I don't have any costs at the moment to go forward with you.
Anybody want to comment?
I'm sorry, is that the same RSJ we were talking about in the interim very early on in the year, or this is another one?
No, this is a new RSJ.
Thank you.
So regarding additional costs, there is no airflow for the office downstairs, and that's become apparent when I've done the walk round. You had envisaged having radiators downstairs, but that will only warm the air, it won't transfer anything around. And I would suggest that you had a look at doing the conditioning unit similar to what's in the existing office at the moment, which allows the air to be warmed and cooled throughout the year, and therefore taking away the cost of the radiator. We have had 3 quotes, and the cheapest quote at the moment, which is, as I say, having similar to what we've already got in the office, and that's 4,200 plus VAT.
Very good. Anybody? Do you want a proposal for that?
Yep.
We've got a proposal for that.
Yeah, I'll propose it.
Damon.
Councillor Damon, seconded?
No, what I'm going to say is, okay, so you're putting a form of air conditioning in. Where's the fresh air coming from, and how's it being supplied, please?
The contractor has proposed that it goes onto the rear roof so that it's away from the conservation frontage. It will need planning to give the nod anyway, and then feed it in through the back wall and have it on the back wall so it's feeding forwards into the office.
So there's fresh air coming in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're actually putting a hole through the wall for transport air?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
I've got a proposer. Seconder.
Councillor Lane?
All those in favour?
That's all, thank you.
Good. Item 18, to receive an update on recent community infrastructure levy applications and agree actions.
So I'm pleased to report that the Borough Council supported our infrastructure levy application on the memorial pathway, which you'll know if you've walked around there recently is starting to drop and has become uneven, and any wheelchair user would likely topple in the corner where it is. So very pleased with that support, and we have already advertised that. The reason for this agenda item going on there is because we also were successful in the application for the adult gym equipment. It was initially envisaged that it would go onto the Jubilee Community Centre land. We have had the group that did the stage 1 on the Howdale for the children's equipment asking whether we would consider putting the funding into the Howdale land and then us match funding it as would be required under the SIL application, on the understanding that the Borough Council then took management of the equipment, because obviously it would be difficult for us to manage when it's not our land that it's sitting on. So that's the reason it's here. So yeah.
Any actions?
Can I ask a question on that one, please? You say it's going on the Howdale.
No, it's envisaged to go on the Jubilee on the Jubilee Community Centre, which is where we put the application in. But we've been approached to ask whether we would consider putting it onto the Borough Council's Howdale land.
Yeah, right. Now this is SIL money that we've earned, is it not?
No, This is an application to the SEAL Fund, asking for them to match fund half the amount so that we can put this equipment.
But is this not part of the funds that are collected off development in Downham Market?
No, it's the funds for the development from West Norfolk.
Okay.
So the same as what we had for the kitchen.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
So does that mean then we have to put 5,000 towards it?
That would be how you would have to do it, yeah.
Okay.
Having been involved and talking to people regarding the outdoors facilities, I would advise you allow it to go to the Howdale, because the maintenance cost of that is very, very high. And I was assured that by the CEO of Live Leisure, who informed me, said, don't take it on board because that's going to be very expensive for the town to run and make use of, because the maintenance on them, they have to be specially maintained every so often, and they would take that on board if it was on the Howdale.
I mean,
so I would push you to go for the Howdale.
I mean, what I would say there is that Cabinet from Borough Council will still need to agree this. They could come back and say, no, they're not willing to do it.
They may do because of the cost.
Would the 5,000 come from what's left, the 13,000 in the SIL fund?
No.
So where would this be budgeted from?
Well, it's budgeted from the reserves, which is what the application was made on when the full council asked for the application to be made.
Thank you.
Can I just say, if it goes ahead, when the gym equipment is put in, it should be spaced apart so that youngsters don't congregate under one area. Also, it's good because then you've got to walk to each item to use it. I only know this because a friend of mine's a PE teacher, and they've done it at the school, and they've spaced them apart because then you have to work to get to each one, and it makes it a bit safer, I think.
Anybody else?
Yeah, just one thing, John. All this work at the Howdale, I mean, you know, I live on the Howdale, so I know about it, but there's still no mention of toilet facilities there. Now, at times, on a good day, you can get 30, 40 kids over there. Now, if we're going to increase this, surely amongst that somewhere there should be some toilet facilities, shouldn't there?
I mean, it's not for today's agenda, but that is something that the Town Council could look into. But, I mean, I think Councillor Parish made it abundantly clear he has no funding for toilets on the Howdale. And he actually said if the Town Council are willing to have them put in, he would support that.
Yeah, but what worries me is that if you're going to increase these facilities, you're going to get all those kids over there. I mean, it's hardly fair on the parents, is it?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm asking is that you asked for the application to be made, we've been successful. Do you still want it on the Jubilee Community Centre, of which there are no toilets either? Or whether we want to work with the Borough Council to see if we can improve their site, where they've already said they will not budget for it.
They will not budget for a toilet?
No. Well, Councillor Parish inferred that they wouldn't budget for a toilet, but they wouldn't budget for this equipment either.
To move.
Can I think we're going to overrun, so can I ask for a 10-minute, quarter-of-an-hour extension? Does everyone agree?
I propose that. I'll second it.
All those in favour? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I make a proposal on this, that we ask the Borough Council if they are willing to have the equipment placed on the Howdale?
That's a proposal, yeah?
I'll second that.
All those in favour?
That's all. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Item 19, to discuss placing speakers on the market for 4 weeks to create a Christmas atmosphere at a cost of £660 plus VAT.
So at the market trader meeting and previous meetings, support has been requested for the market. and it was suggested that we have a look at decorating the market somehow with lighting or music. Myself and a contractor had a look at lighting, but it's going to be unmanageable for lighting because it would have to be installed and taken down every single day. So this was a suggestion. As the Christmas lights are going up, the cherry picker would already be there, so we wouldn't be paying for that. This is purely the hire of the speakers and the licence for each occasion. The install is not being charged here.
At Community Events Committee, we have... Oh, sorry, again, I forgot. Sorry. At the Community Events Committee, we have had discussions about music on the market, and £660 plus VAT is an awful lot of money for 4 weeks. We suggested, among our discussions, that we should ask, like on social media, and get groups, like a group of school children doing the carols. I've spoken to 2 people who are members of the band at the Downham High School, and they don't want to do Christmas because that's too big, but they would love to do a gig on the market on a Friday or Saturday. I think we should look at alternative methods. It's a great idea, but no cost. We've just incurred another extra 1,000 to Wimpisham. We should keep from spending more and try and get it free.
Can I just confirm, so it's on market days, Friday and Saturday during December, or what's the stipulation here? Yeah?
Right, yes.
Right, okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Right.
In the past, we've had people working from beginning of November up till Christmas Day as musicians and various objects. At the moment, we have one who plays outside Morrison's near the bank. Previously, we have asked people if they wish to play free of charge on the town market, and we've had various people turn up and do it. Throughout the year, we've had people playing on the market. Would they like to do it? That's the only thing I put forward. But, sorry, I haven't finished it. £660 doesn't sound unreasonable to me, to be honest. But who's going to control the music, please? And how?
I mean, the maintenance officer would be on a playlist. The maintenance officers would be responsible for switching it on and switching it off and making sure, well, the contractor would work with us on the volume because obviously we've got to keep the volume levels because it's a residential area as well.
And the other thing I'm going to ask, the playing hours?
It would purely be the market, so 8 till 3 would be the suggestion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the chap mentioned near Morrison's hasn't been there for quite some weeks. And the chap near Boots hasn't been there for quite some weeks. I think he's ill. So, them 2 people around. And I also think the money seems a reasonable amount for 2 days for 4 weeks.
Anybody else?
Some ambience near Christmas would be really nice on the market square. I can imagine that would feel lovely. My only quibble is the cost, but I think, you know, a bit of Christmas cheer on the marketplace would be a good thing and a positive thing for the town.
My problem is the cost as well. We've increased our budget tonight with various items. Would a compromise be perhaps 2 weeks before Christmas as opposed to 4?
Yes, well, yeah, what the council want. I've got a budget for the mayoral fund.
Mr. Mayor, your budget has been spent by community development.
Well,
She spent yours and mine.
That finishes that.
That's funny.
Good job, I didn't know. I'd have been...
He spent mine as well.
Yeah, on top of the music, there will be surprise visits with Snowman as well, which will add to the ambience.
We have, but it's going towards your mayors at home, etc.
Go on, sorry.
obviously there's quite a few weeks yet, time scale wise. Would it be a good idea if Councillor Levers could see how many different bands or school children she could get along, to how many weeks she could fill, even if she filled it up to 2 weeks, and then we would compare if we had enough for that, and then obviously that would be free, and we wouldn't have to go ahead with the booking of the £612 for the 4 weeks.
Okay. I mean, if it's not agreed at this meeting, to be honest with you, it's not going to happen, because your next meeting is the 21st of November, and the Christmas lights will have been done. You're then going to have to pay for a cherry picker to put anything up after that. So it's only going to increase the expense.
Thanks for the information. I hadn't thought about that one.
I'll make a proposal that we do this for the 2 weeks prior to Christmas to move this along. Thank you.
I've got a proposal and a second.
What about if the contractor says that it won't reduce the installation cost, because the equipment would still be up there, because obviously it's going up with the Christmas lights and then it will come down with the Christmas lights. Therefore, they may say to me, I'm not increasing it because you've still got my speakers up there for a 4-week period.
Well, I would hope that the contractor would be more amenable than that and agree to our proposal. But however, if the contractor wasn't able to, then it's too much money.
So really what you need to do is propose me with a budget, and then if I can't get that money, then it's not happening.
I would say the maximum budget would be £350 plus VAT for the 2-week period.
We've got a proposal and a second. All those in favour of that?
And those against? That's fine. Lovely,
Right,
thank you.
That's carried. Item 20, to discuss the suggestion of a 3G pitch on the Jubilee Community Centre. Justin, talk. Yeah, Justin.
Are we on? Right. Despite one councillor wanting to use a snooker cue to point for things on this, I'm not going to. Right, I've written a few notes. I'm asking you to give us permission and backing for this project so we can investigate avenues to get grant funding for this. We know we can get up to 700,000 from Football Foundation. The rest we are looking from other sources. When talking to other people who already have 3G pitches, they have said you will have to find 300,000 for a start, which I'm sure we can again from grants. This project will be council-led, so therefore will be for the whole of the community. And I mean the community. It will not be just for one purpose or one person to use on a higher basis. We want to see people of all ages and abilities come and use this facility. The facility is much needed in Downham, and I know teams who cannot hire Linsport because it's full, who would come here if we had one built. Sorry for the nervousness. I would like to think you would all have the same enthusiasm as myself, Councillor Jordan and Councillor Pike to get this off the ground. I know it sounds a lot, and it is, but I think it's something that the town really, really needs. And yes, I'm passionate about it. I see kids playing up there, and I would like to give them, if we can, the facilities that they need. We have a lad, well, he used to live not too far from here. He certainly went to Downham High School, and he's now playing Champions League football. And talking to the people on Saturday, there's one of the lads now been scouted into Norwich City Academy. Now, if we can give them them facilities up there to make it better, then I really hope that you'll support us in this and allow us to go out there and get the grant funding to carry this on.
I suggest that we have a working party for yourself.
We've already got one.
Any questions? Obviously there is going to be, because I know about the money side of things.
Just to confirm, councillors, I asked for this to come to full council because there is a working party, and the working party, in my opinion, have finished their terms of reference. They've come back with the costs, where it would be, etc. And they now want to know whether you will commit admin time to searching out for the grants, etc.
Councillor Westbrook.
Yes, thank you. I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's a facility that is long overdue in this town. And I think if you think about actually some of the proposals that are floating around for Downham Football Club and actually sort of the main football club, we need to expand sort of this kind of facility for the community, not only for football but for things like hockey and actually other sort of sports like that, so that we can develop that going forward. I think 750 is, from my experience, actually an underestimate. I think you're pushing more nearer 950. I mean,
no, that was just from the Football Foundation.
Right. Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It is probably a 1 million, 1.2 million.
Yeah.
The clerk gave everybody the details of the project, and
I think so, because looking at the Sport England sort of grant funding approach, you know, you do stand an excellent chance of actually getting a lot of that basically back, because I've done that for Magpie.
Yeah.
I would wholeheartedly support it, and you know, I would sort of support any grant fundraising activities that you might want to have, because I've done some of this in the past.
Yeah.
So well done and good luck, and yes, please.
Thank you. Councillor.
Councillor Lewis, can you tell me about the existing plan that it is on?
The existing plan.
There is from my research, there's a local plan. It's called the Kings Lynn and West Norfolk Local Football Facility Plan, which seeks potential investment from the Football Foundation for a full-size 3G pitch in Downham Market.
The only one I
have the document here.
I haven't gone that far. Sorry, you've dug a lot further than myself. I'm just asking council for this. I do know that Norfolk FA would have preferred one in at the school.
Okay.
But I feel that we can give it to the community a lot better.
If I could just follow through so people can know what's out there. And this I don't know at what stage it is at, but this is through the Football Foundation, and the partners of the Premier League, FA, Government and Sports England. 4 priority projects for the potential investment have been identified in West Norfolk to address the need of provision of gaps and services. And one of these projects is a 3D pitch at another site in Downham Market. I can tell you where that is if you want.
That is the one.
It is the school in association with Lynn Sport. Now, the potential users are not just the school.
No.
The users are Downham Market, 12 teams, Denver 4, Watlington 7, Sholdham 8. Project users identified are adult, male and female, adult disability, mini soccer, small-sided teams and leagues, youth male and female. And so reading this up, this will open to everyone, not just the school. So the 3 things I'd love all councillors to address tonight are, would a grant application for a pitch on the JCC land impede or hinder the project already underway, which is, let's be honest, benefit the community, which is what we would like to do? How likely would we be considered for a grant in Downham Market if there is already a grant application in? Well, I've got the document here. If a grant was approved, how would the remaining funding, approximately 400,000 from the document the clerk sent us, be found by the council and the precept payer? And a grant application is a lengthy, time-consuming process, and I think we should address these questions before we ask the staff to take this on. So I just raised that, which I've found from my research, and I'm happy to send this to the clerk and ask the clerk to send it round to everybody if you want to read the document. Thank you.
If I'm correct, and the clerk will
Press your button.
Oh, I've done it again. Sorry. If I'm correct, we were told at the property meeting that whether we go ahead with the applications and grants, the consultation procedure would cost between 10 and 15,000, and we would lose that money if we weren't successful. Could you confirm if that's correct?
I can't say I remember saying that. The consultation for the roadway was going to be £10,000 to £20,000. I don't remember there being a consultation for this grant. I did say that the likelihood is that if we are able to get the 700,000, then the remaining 400,000 would likely need match funding, because most of these grant providers, similar to the Borough Council, they want 50-50. So you're likely to need, even if we get the extra 400,000, we will have to fund £200,000 of that, if we are even successful in getting that 400,000.
Yes, I've heard it mentioned that it's for all members of the community. Am I right in thinking that it's only for football? Is there going to be any use for hockey or tennis, or is it just purely a football facility?
It wouldn't be for tennis, because that's on a different surface altogether. But yes, it would be primarily football. We have no hockey team in Downham. They don't even play hockey at the school anymore, which...
Well, there never will be if there's no facilities.
No, but the school don't drive it either, and that's where it used to start.
Or tennis?
I don't know whether they do tennis either. And again, same with rugby. There used to be rugby in town, there's not that anymore.
So it's, when you say primarily a football facility, it is a football facility?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. But hockey could be played on it. Like I say, should the situation arise, if there was a team was set up around this area, I'm sure that we could accommodate them on there. But there's not. The nearest one is Pelicans in Kings Lynn. Unfortunately, Denver folded several years ago, of which I think one of our councillors was a player. So yes, but I would like to hope that you will.
We are aware, Councillor Ingovaia, of the project that you talk about, but we challenge the fact is it would be open to all the community, because in my past experience with schools and the use of the schools, like the swimming pool, half the time that's full with school children, so we can't use the swimming pool when we want to. There's an hour slot here and there you can use. There's also, we are trying to provide a facility for the whole community, disability. We also, we want a ladies team, we want to produce children's teams, we want to produce everything, and at the moment we're at loggerheads with the football club at the moment, so we don't want them to lead it, we want to lead the project, and we believe we've got a better way of doing it than the school have.
Can I just come back on that, because this is within the plan that the users identified are what you're identifying yourself, that it won't just be for the school, it will be for use of. This is in the plan.
I don't care what it says there, but trust me, that will not happen as it says on that writing.
This is
where we would be more genuine than that.
The same people you will be going to for the grant are the same people who have written into this plan. They're not going to do, are they?
Not necessarily.
Well,
we can go to grants wherever we want, the same as they can.
I have to ask, you did say, if I've heard you correctly, that the community, when they want to use this, are going to have to pay to use this. So is that correct?
Yeah, it's going to have to be a hired facility, same as if you went to the school, you'd have to hire it from them. So therefore, there could, if we had it for us, there could be job opportunities out there as well. If everybody read the literature on it, the pitch will need maintaining and whatever else, and if we can get it pushed forward, and that somebody will need to look after it and whatever else, so there is a job there. But I just think that Downham needs a facility like this. I know, like with Councillor Ingovaia is saying, yes, I had been told that from other people that Norfolk FA want it at the school, but I did hear that the school weren't interested at the time, and probably still aren't from when that paper was, and that's why I would like us to pick it up and hopefully drive forward with it. I always see us a little bit as a poor relation to Kings Lynn, and borough councillors, I'd like you to do your best for us as well, if possible.
Councillors, we've only got about 5 minutes, so I should...
Fair enough. I would just like to get back that yes, Councillor Coricover is right to raise that plan as a point that needs to be dealt with, but this plan has got whiskers on it. It was around when I was a borough councillor, and actually it was not moved on by the then Education Trust. It's right to actually highlight it and actually address the issues that it raised. But I think if we actually want a decent facility like this in the town, we're probably going to actually have to take the lead and actually do something about it, basically.
I believe it's a much needed facility, and I think we should back it. Also, taking into consideration the Norfolk FA's funding, I'd like to know more about that personally. You talk about accessibility, but how accessible is something that people have to pay for unless they're part of a particular football club? People aren't flush with cash at the moment. If it were truly an accessible facility, then I think people should be able to go onto it and use it as they do now.
Can I answer that? It would have to be locked. It would have to be locked. We don't want people walking dogs across it like they do the Memorial Field and let their dogs do all and sundry and then kids go and slide in it. It would have to be locked and maintained properly and used properly. But people would have to pay for it. If 12 blokes decided, oh, we want to go hire it on a Thursday night at 9 o'clock at night for an hour to go and have a game of six-a-side football, they could.
How much would that be, though? Say you've got kids who, you know,
I don't know.
They're having to get funding from the government to even play football. How are they going to be able to use it?
Well, everything's not free in life.
I know. I'm just raising the question.
Can I stop that? I think you was.
It's obvious you're not going to get two, one in the school and one in the town. So wouldn't it be wise to go to the school and say to them, you want to do this, and find out first? Otherwise you're going to be wasting a lot of time trying to get grants. If both of you are going for it, then if you spoke to them and they said we're not interested in it, then you'd know where you stood.
Is that a proposal?
Oh, well it can be, yes.
I've got a second over that. All those in favour that we discuss it with the school?
We'll discuss it with the school and then bring it back to a future meeting.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Everyone agrees?
Okay, those that are against? And those abstaining? Lovely, thank you.
Sorry?
Yep, that's fine.
It's passed.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Right, we're
6,
past
7, 8.
that.
There's only 8 against.
Okay. Right.
So all that's approved at the moment is that we can have a discussion with the school, find out what their plans are, and then bring it back to a future meeting.
Okay, everyone agree with that? Yeah. Good. Item 21, submit items for the next agenda. And to discuss the civility.
I've just put it on there just so that councillors are aware that that has been suggested from the Norfolk Association of Local Councils AGM that I went to.
Okay. Oh, well, I think we better take that next time. So we need items for the next agenda, and I'll confirm the date of next full council is 21st November 2023. There be no further business. I declare the meeting closed at
21:12.
Yeah.